Good evening, everyone. We are the Group 3 reporters. My name is Runachelle Andit, and we are going to discuss about the PFRS for small and medium-sized entities. Full PFRS is the same as the IFRS SMEs. An associate is an entity over which the investor has significant influence but is neither a subsidiary nor a joint venture of the investor. Authority of the PFRS per SMEs. Decisions on which entities are required or permitted to use the IASB standards rest with legislative and regulatory authorities and standard setters in individual's jurisdiction. And in the Philippines, per Securities and Exchange Commission guidelines, PFRS per SMEs covers corporations that have total assets between 3 million and 350 million or have total liabilities between 3 million and 250 million. Section 1 is small and medium-sized entities. The purpose of financial statement is to provide information about a company's financial position, performance, and cash flows. This helps users make informed decisions even when they can't ask for specific reports tailored to their needs. So the qualitative characteristic of financial information is understandability, relevance, materiality, reliability, substance over form, prudence, completeness, comparability, timelines, balance between benefit and cost. So understandability, kailangan ang information kay dali ra masabtan. Relevance is information should be useful for decision making. Materiality, only important information should be included. In reliability, information must be accurate and trustworthy. Substance over form, the true nature of transactions matter more than their legal form. Prudence, be cautious with estimates, and especially in uncertain situations. And completeness, all necessary information should be included. Comparability, financial information should be easy to compare across the periods or the companies. Timelines, information should be provided on time to remain useful. Balance between benefit and cost, the value of information should outweigh the cost of providing it. Undue cost or effort. Some requirements of the PFRS per SMEs allow for exemptions if meeting them would result in undue cost or effort, making it easier for small businesses to comply. In financial position, there's an asset, liability, and equity. In financial performance, the income and the expenses. Entities using PFRS for SMEs can present their performance in one statement of comprehensive income, two statement, income statement, and statement of comprehensive income. Fair presentation. Statements should be truthful and accurately reflect a company's financial position and performance. Compliance with PFRS for SMEs. Financial statement, kailangan mo follow sa Philippine Financial Reporting Standard for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. Compliance with PFRS for SMEs. Kailangan ang financial statement mo follow sa rules set by Philippine Financial Reporting Standard for Small and Medium-Sized Entities to ensure consistency and reliability. In going concern, a company is assumed to continue operating in the foreseeable future unless there is evidence it will close or run out of funds. Consistency or presentation. The format and the structure of financial statements should remain the same over time to allow easy comparison. Changes only made if necessary and properly explained. Comparative information. Financial statements should include figures from previous years so user can compare performance and identify trends. materiality, and aggregation. Only important material or financial information should be presented separately. Smaller, less significant amount can be grouped together. Complete set of financial statement. A full set of financial report includes balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement, and notes to the financial standard. Non-presentation of statement of changes in equity is under PFRS for SMEs. Companies may omit this statement if changes in equity come only from profit, loss, dividends, or owner contributions withdrawals. Non-presentation of statement of comprehensive income. SMEs can present a simpler income statement instead of statement of comprehensive income, focusing only on revenues and expenses. Comparative amounts. Kailangan sa financial statement i-show niya ang amounts from previous period to help user compare and analyze trends. In presentation, financial statement must be clear, structured, and easy to understand, following PFRS for SMEs guidelines. Identification of financial statement. There is name, individual or group, date, presentation, currency, label of rounding. In presentation of information that is not required under PFRS for SMEs, the company should avoid presenting extra details unless they are useful for decision making. Minimum line items in the statement of financial positions. The balance sheet must include key financial elements like asset, liabilities, and equities. Kami naman taon sa asset no katong cash, receivable, inventories, property and investment, and etc. And liabilities, payables, loans, tax, liabilities, and deferred tax and provisions. And equity, owner's equity, and non-controlling interest. Sequencing of items in the statement of financial position. Items should be arranged logically, usually grouping similar items together following liquidity order. Current and non-current distinction. Assets and liabilities should be classified as current to be used or settled within 1 year, or non-current held for longer than a year. Section 5, Statement of Comprehensive Income and Income Statement. Section 5, there are single statement and two statement. Single statement is a company presents all income, expenses, and other comprehensive income in one statement called the Statement of Comprehensive Income. In two statement, the company presents two separate statements, which is the income statement and the Statement of Comprehensive Income that includes net profit, loss, plus other comprehensive income. Another comprehensive income includes gain or losses and not include net profits, such as revaluation surplus, actuarial. Other comprehensive income includes gain or losses and not include net profit, such as revaluation surplus, actuarial gains, losses, translation differences, and hedging gains or losses. Revaluation surplus increase in value of asset like land or buildings, and actuarial gains or losses is an adjustment related to employee benefits. Translation differences is a gain and losses from converting foreign currency financial statements. Hedging gains or losses results from using financial instruments to protect against risks like currency changes. Minimum line items in Statement of Comprehensive Income should include revenue, expenses, finance, tax expenses, net profit or loss, and OCI items. Effects of correction of errors and changes in accounting policies. Errors, corrections. If a mistake is found in previous report, it must be corrected and disclosed. Changes in accounting policies. If a company changes how it reports financial data, it must explain the impact on past and current reports. Extraordinary items, rare and unusual events that significantly affects financial results, and under PFRS SMEs, this should be disclosed separate if relevant. Analysis of expenses. Expenses should be categorized by functions: cost, sales, admin, and expenses, or nature, to provide better insights and to provide better insights. Section 6 is Statement of Changes in Equity and Statement of Income and Retained Earnings. Statement of Income and Retained Earnings. An entity may omit the statement of changes in equity, and in lieu thereof shall present a statement of income and retained earnings if only changes to equity during the period for which financial statements are presented arise from profit or loss, payment of dividends, corrections of prior period errors, and changes in accounting policy. Here's the example of an illustration. 1. Statement of income and retained earnings. As you can see, ABC Company Statement of Income and Retained Earnings for the year ended December 31, 2022. Illustration 1 is Statement of Income and Retained Earnings. Alternative 1 is stating the classification of expenses by function. And then the illustration number 2 is illustrating the classification of expense by nature. As you can see here, it's the same, parehas sila og kining equal, pero some of the amounts are not the same. So mo tayo lang kalayanan. Ang isa is classification of expense by nature, and the other one is classification of expense by function. So that's all for my report, and next is Miss Michelle.
Hello everyone, I will be discussing the section 7 of small and medium-sized entities of chapter 11, PFRS. So section 7 is all about the statement of cash flows.
So, statement of cash flows are operating activities. These are the principal revenue-producing activities of the entities. So, masabot naman siya, di ba sa definition niya na operating activities is revenue-producing activities siya, non-entity. Next one, we have the investing activities. It is the acquisition and disposal of long-term assets and other investments not included in the cash equivalents. So, ang investing activities, siya ang nagtangtang, siya ang nag-acquisiate ng mga long-term assets and other investment na dili included sa cash equivalents. We have also financing activities. These are the activities that result in change in the size and composition of the contributed equity and borrowings of an entity. So, ang financing activity side is siya pod ang resulta ng mga nautro sa mga size and composition of uncontributed equity sa borrowing cost of an entity. And we also have here the reporting of cash flows. So, reporting of cash flows is an entity shall present cash flows from operating activities using their nay duha ka methods ang reporting of cash flows, which is the direct method and indirect method. So, unsa ang indirect method? Ang indirect method it is the detailed breakdown of an actual cash inflows and outflows related to the entity's core business operation. It directly shows how much cash was received from the customers and how much was paid to suppliers, employees, and for other operating expenses. So, ang ato atimanan is ang direct method siya ang actual na cash inflows and outflows nan entity core business operation. And for the indirect method is starts with net income. So magsugod ang indirect method sa net income from the income statement and then adjust it for non-cash items and changes in working capital. So magsugod siya sa net income and then i-adjust siya ng mga non-cash items and then ma-change siya into working capital. Ma-author siya sa working capital. It indirectly arrives at the cash flow from operating activities by reconciling net income to a cash basis. So, ang ato timananan sa indirect method is ang method is mag-start siya sa net income from the income statement and it is adjusted for non-cash items, which is ma-change siya may mo siyang working capital. So foreign currency cash flows arising from transactions in foreign currencies are translated into the entity's functional currency using the exchange rate prevailing at the date of the cash flow. This ensures that the cash flows are reported in a consistent and comparable manner. So regardless of the currency in which they were originally generated. And next we have the interest and dividends. So interest paid and dividends received are typically classified as operating cash flows. So ang interest na bayaran and interest of dividends magdawat is classified siya as an operating cash flows because they are directly related to the entity's core business operations and are included in the calculation of profit or loss. Next is we have the income tax. So income tax are cash flows arising from income tax are generally classified as operating cash flows. So ang cash flows na gikan sa income tax are generally maklasify siya as an operating cash flows. However, if these cash flows can be specifically identified with financing or investing activities, they should be classified accordingly. For example, cash flows related to income tax on debt financing would be classified as financing cash flows. So, next is the non-transactions. So, the statement of cash flows only includes transactions that result in actual cash receipts or cash payments. So, statement of cash flow ra is gi-include rin niya ang mga transaction na ay actual na cash receipts or mga cash payments during the period. So non-cash transactions such as the exchange of assets for equity are excluded from the statement of cash flows and are disclosed elsewhere in the financial statement. So this ensures that the statement of cash flows accurately reflects the cash flows activities in the entity. So for section 8, notes of the financial statements. So structure of the notes present information about the basis of preparation of the financial statement and the specific accounting policies used. So note that The financial statement should be presented in a systematic manner, making it easy for users to find the information they need. They include basis of preparation. The section should clearly state the accounting framework used in preparing the financial statements, such as the PFRS for small and medium-sized entities, and also accounting policies. They also include accounting policies in making it easy for the users to find information they need, because this section should provide detailed information about the specific accounting policies adopted by the entity. So this includes the methods used for recognizing, measuring, and presenting items in the financial statements. And next we have the cross-referencing. So an entities shall, as far as practicable, present the notes in a systematic manner. So cross-referencing, it is to enhance the clarity and avoid repetition. Entities should cross-reference different sections of the notes. This means na providing links or references to other relevant sections within the notes, allowing users to easily navigate and understand the connection between different pieces of information. And next we have the order of presentation. So an entity normally presents the notes in the statement that the financial statement have been prepared in compliance with PFRS for SMEs. So order presentation, it is the notes to the financial statement that are typically presented in a specific order to ensure consistency and logical flow. This often includes just statement of compliance, basis of preparation, accounting policies, and other mga disclosure. So by following these guidelines, entities can ensure that their notes to the financial statement are clear, informative, and compliant with the relevant accounting standard. And that's for section number 8, notes to the financial statement. So for the accounting for business combination sa Advanced Accounting 2, share for shares exchange occurs when a company issues its own shares in exchanging for shares in the other company. So makita na siya when ang company ko na is nag-issue ng ija own shares in exchange for shares ng laing company. So share for share exchange is ang tawag siya. If ang company nag-issue ng shares on its own and ibaylo siya sa shares sa other company, share for share exchange. This common method for acquiring control for another company without using cash. The accounting for share exchange involves determining the fair value of the shares exchange and recognizing any results, gain or loss. So next is the business combination achieved in stages. So this refers to a situation where an acquirer obtains control of an acquiree through a series of transactions over time. So for example, an acquirer might initially purchase a minority interest in a company and later acquire controlling interest. So in such cases, this acquirer must remeasure its previously held equity interest at fair value on the acquisition date and recognize any resulting gain or loss in the income statement. So that's for the business combination achieved in the stages. Next is we have here the business combinations achieved with the transfer of consideration. So this occurs when an acquirer obtains control of an acquiree. without transferring any consideration such as cash or shares. So this can happen in situations like share repurchase or lapse of minority veto rights. The acquirers gains control when minority veto rights expire or are eliminated. So next is the control by contract. Ang control by contract is the acquirer gains control through a contract that gives it the ability to direct the acquirer's activity. And ang sa share of repurchase, ang acquiree is nag-repurchase siya na iya own shares from an existing investor, giving that investor a control. So next we have the measurement period. So it is a period after acquisition date during which the acquirer can adjust the provisional amounts recognized for the business combination. So these periods allows the acquirer to gather additional information necessary to accurately identify and measure the identifiable assets acquired, liabilities, assumed, and non-controlling interest. So the measurement period typically lasts no more than 1 year after acquisition date. And we also have here the determining what is the part of the business combination transaction. It is important to distinguish between transactions that are part of the business combination and those that are separate transactions. A transaction is considered part of the business combination if it is directly related to the exchange of acquiree. So separate transactions such as agreements for vendor to reimburse and acquirers transaction costs are accounted for separately. For the method of estimating goodwill, so it is an intangible asset that represents the excess of the purchase price over the fair value of identifiable net assets acquired in a business combination. It is often difficult to measure accurately and requires the use of valuation method. So, di ba ang goodwill is ang reputation ng isa ka company. So, mo dyan. And ang method of estimating goodwill have two violations. First is the indirect violation and the direct violation. So, ang indirect violation, this method uses market multiples or other comparable data to estimate the value of the acquired business. This approach relies on the assumption that the acquired business is similar to other business for which market data is available. And for the direct valuation, this method uses a disconnected cash flow or the DCF, the disconnected cash flows analysis, or other valuation techniques to estimate the present value of the acquired business, future cash flows. So this approach acquires the detailed financial projections and assumptions about the acquired business future performance. So lastly, we have the revised acquisition. So this occurs when a privately held company acquires a public traded company. Kung mag-acquire ang public traded company, ma-occur ang siya. This allow the private company to gain access to public markets without going through the traditional initial public offering or the IPO process, the initial public offering. So the accounting for reverse acquisition is complex and requires careful consideration of the specific facts and circumstances of the transaction. So this accounting for business combination is a complex area that requires though understanding of the relevant accounting standards and principles. So that's for the section 8 notes. That's for the section 8 notes to the financial statements. Section 10, accounting policies, estimates, and errors. So we have here accounting policies. Accounting policies are the specific principles, bases, conventions, rules, and practices applied by an entity in preparing and presenting financial statements. So they provide a framework for consistently measuring and reporting financial information. So we also have here the hierarchy of standards. So hierarchy of the standards, when selecting and applying accounting policies, entities should follow a hierarchy of reporting standard. First is the specific IFRS. Specific IFRS are the primary source of guidance. Second is the IFRS Interpretations Committee. The committee provides interpretation of IFRS. And the third one is the conceptual framework for financial reporting. So this framework provides a guidance. Sila ang nag-provide ng guidance on the objectives and concept underlying IFRS. And lastly, we have the other accounting literature. So this includes pronouncements from other standard setting bodies, account literature, and accepted industry practices. So that are the hierarchy reporting standards. First is recap. First is the specific IFRS Interpretation Committee. The third one is the conceptual framework for financial reporting, and the last one is the other accounting literature. And now we have the consistency of accounting policies. So entities should apply the same accounting policies from period to period to ensure comparability of financial statements. So this allows users to analyze trends and performance over time. However, changes in accounting policies are sometimes necessary. So that's for the consistency of accounting policies. We also have the change in accounting policies. So this occurs when an entity adopts a different general accepted accounting principle or the GAAP. So makita rin niyo siya when ang entity is mo-adapt siya sa different na general accepted accounting principle. From the one previously used, change in accounting policies can be pag mabaylo ang accounting policies kay it can be required or voluntarily. Required siya when a new IFRS or interpretation requires a change in accounting policy. O voluntary siya when an entity believes a new accounting policy will result in more relevant and reliable financial information. So, ang duha ka changes in accounting policies are required and voluntary. So, basta gali required, ang timananan na is na ay bag-o na IFRS or mga interpretation something. If voluntary sa siya, new accounting policy will result more relevant or if voluntary siya, if it is relevant and reliable financial information. We also have the accounting for change in accounting policies. So changes in accounting policies are generally accounted for retrospectively. So this means adjusting the opening balance of each affected components of equity for the earliest prior period presented and the other comparative amounts disclosed for each presented and the other comparative amount have been applied. So retrospective application involves applying a new accounting policies to transactions, other events, and conditions as if that policy had always been applied. It requires restating the financial statements of prior periods reflect the new policy. And the change in accounting estimates, it is an adjustment of carrying amount of an asset or liability, or the amount of the periodic consumption of an asset that results from the assessment of the present status and expected future benefit and obligation associated with the asset and liability. Changes in accounting estimates are accounted for prospectively, meaning the changes is recognized in the current and future periods. So, ang change in accounting estimate is ma-recognize siya when ma-recognize siya sa current o sa future periods. So, correction of prior periods errors are omissions or misstatement in the financial statement. So, ang corrections or prior period errors are mga misstatements, mga sayop, mga saya sa financial statement for one or more period arising from a failure to use or misuse the certain reliable information. These errors are corrected retrospectively by adjusting the opening balance of retained earnings and affected assets and liabilities for the earliest period presented. So, in conclusion, understanding accounting policies, understanding accounting policies for changes in accounting policies is very important for preparing reliable and comparable financial statements by following the hierarchy of reporting standards and applying the appropriate accounting methods. Entities that can ensure that their financial information is presented in a clear and consistent manner. So that's for the section 10 accounting policies estimated and errors. So that's end my topic, and let's have the next reporter.
Section 11, Basic Financial Instrument. Financial instrument, it is an asset that can be traded, or they can also be seen as a package of capital that may be traded. Accounting policy choice. So, ang entity kuno shall choose to apply either the following to account kanang gamiton pag record for all of its financial statement. Kung the provision kanang provided ba ng vote section 11 and section 12 of the PFRS for SME in full, or the recognition and measurement ba na gina-provide ng PAS 39, the financial instrument and the disclosure requirements of section 11 and 12. Ang scope ng section 11 for PFRS for SME shall be applied by entities to basic financial instrument. Ang basic financial instrument refers sa mga non-conflict financial instrument. All basic financial instruments shall be measured using an amortized cost model, except sa mga basic financial instruments that are publicly traded, or those fair value can otherwise be measured at liably without undue cost or effort. Ang example ng mga instrument na ini is Bcash, demand and fixed deposit when the entity is the depositor, the commercial paper and commercial bills held, account notes and loans receivable and payable. Ang mga not included naman is example, the asset-backed securities such as collateralized mortgage obligation, repurchase agreement, and security package of receivable. So, ang main difference of the included and non-included are in how easy they are to trade, their liquidity, and their level of knowledge required to handle them. The basic financial instrument manggut is simpler and more accessible to an average person, while the other are more complex and specialized. Initial recognition of financial asset and liability. Ang initial measurement ng financial asset and liabilities are typically recognized at the transaction price, which include ang transaction cost, except for those that are subsequently measured at fair value through profit and loss. Pero may exemption if the arrangement is a financing transaction na ay special rules na ma-apply. Financing transaction man na siya ang mga payments na different beyond normal business terms, mga delayed payments. So, measurement of financing transaction is measured at the present value of a future payment discounted at a market rate of interest that could apply to a similar debt instrument. Kanina approach adjusts the recognized value to reflect the true economic value of asset and liability, taking into an account the interest rate implication of the different payment terms. Example ng financial assets and liability. Long-term loan made to another entity. Ang initial measurement, ang receivable is measured at the present value of cash receivable, including ang mga interest payments and repayments of principal from that entity. Cost of goods sold to a customer on short-term credit. Ang receivable is recognized at undiscounted amount of cash received from that entity, which is normally invoice price. Ang long-term or ang loan received from a bank. Ang loan payable is recognized initially at present value of a cash payable to the bank, including ang interest payment and repayment of principal. Goods purchased from suppliers on short-term credit. Ang payable is recognized at the undiscounted amount owed to the supplier, which normally the invoice price. Section 12, Other Financial Instrument Uses. Ang key difference or ang different ng scope of Section 11 and 12, ang Section 11 applies to basic financial instrument and is relevant to all entities. Ang Section 12 applies to other more complex financial instrument and transaction. If ang entity enters into only basic financial instrument transaction, then ang Section 12 is not applicable. However, even ang entities with only basic financial instruments shall consider the scope of Section 12 to ensure they are exempt. Ang scope ng Section 12, ang scope ng Section 12 is ang mga not included sa Section 11. So here's the example of instruments that are within the scope of Section 12. The asset-backed securities such as collateralized mortgage obligation, repurchase agreement, and securitized package of receivable, option rights, warrants, future contracts, forward contracts, and interest rate swap that can be settled in cash or by exchange of another financial instrument. Also, the other example is the financial instrument that qualify and are designated as hedging instrument. So, ang hedging instrument is a financial contract used to reduce or manage risk from price change, interest rates, exchange rates, and other uncertainty. Section 13, Inventories. So, inventories are asset. So, it is belong to inventories if it is held for sale in the ordinary courses of the business, man siyang finished good. Also, mabilong po in the process of production for such sales, ang mga work in process, and also in the form of materials and supplies to be consumed in the production process or in rendering services, raw materials, and manufacturing supplies. matawag po na sila og inventories. So the measurement of inventories is measured at lower of cost and estimated selling price less cost to complete the sale. Cost of inventories na ituyo, the purchase cost, the conversion cost na adiri ang direct labor and also the manufacturing overhead, and the other costs incurred in bringing the inventories to other present locations and condition. Ang mga not included or mga not excluded from inventories is ang abnormal amounts of wasted natural labor and other production costs, mga storage costs, unless those costs are necessary during the production process before a further production stage. The administrative overhead that do not contribute to bringing inventories to their present location and condition. And lastly, the selling cost, ano siya ang mga excluded sa inventory. So, mao ni sila ang mga expense outright, the expense dahon. Cost of agricultural produce harvested from biological asset. So, may initial recognition ang agricultural produce. When ang agricultural produce is harvested from biological asset like crops, mga livestock product, it is initially measured at fair value minus estimated selling cost. This means that instead of using historical costs like in traditional inventory accounting, the produce is valued based on its market price at the time of harvest after deducting selling expenses like ang transportation and packaging. The amount determined at this stage becomes the cost of inventory for further accounting. Also, ang agricultural produce have subsequent measurement. Like after the initial recognition, the inventory is measured at the lower of cost, which was determined as the fair value at harvest, or the net realizable value, which is the estimated selling price minus cost to complete and sale. This ensures that inventory is not overstated in financial statement. And also, alternative methods for measuring inventory costs. Okay, some of the business use simplified methods for measuring inventory costs as long as the result approximates actual cost. The common methods include ang standard costing, the retail methods, and the most recent purchase prices. Ang standard costing, it is assigned a predetermined cost to inventory based on expected cost, which is later adjusted to reflect actual cost. Ang retail method naman, it is estimate cost by applying the cost to retail percentage to selling price. And lastly, the most recent purchase price, it uses the cost of the latest purchase as an estimate for inventory evaluation. So, may mga formula po na pwede nato gamiton in measuring the cost of inventories. Man silang ginatawag o cost formula, the specific identification, the first in, first out, or FIFO, the weighted average cost. Sa specific identification, it shall be used for inventories where are not ordinary interchangeable, so bali unique, and goods or services produced and segregated for specific project. So, dili na musulad ang sa job, order costing. So, sa FIFO, kung pilang imong pag-acquire, mo na gud na siya ang cost ng inventory. Sa weighted average cost naman, weighted average cost where cost of goods sold and cost of ending inventory consists of average cost of inventories acquired during the period. So, bali, kung mag-purchase ka kaduha, then i-plus nimo atong price. Lahi-lahi na price sa pag-purchase nimo, then i-divide nimo into 2, makuha na dahil nimo average. Mao na siya ang imo gamiton sa pag-compute kung pila man ang cost ng inventory. Also sa una diyan pa ang life na gitawag ang last in first out, pero kuman is prohibited na sa kay di man sa makatarungan na ang last na imo gipalit is mao na sa bang imo ilaong pa ibaligya na. Section 16. Investment property. Ang investment property, it refers to the land or building held to earn rentals income or for capital appreciation or both, rather than for use in business operation or sale in the ordinary process of the business. Property interest in operating lease. Property interest is held by lessee under an operating lease may be classified and accounted for investment property. So, ang initial measurement ng investment property is at cost, including an purchase price and transaction cost. After initial recognition or the subsequent measurement of an entity can choose between the fair value model and cost model. Ang fair value model, it revalue to market value each year with changes in profit and losses. Ang cost model is it depreciate over time, similar to PPE under Section 17. So, sa transfer naman, if ang fair value of an investment property can no longer be measured liably, it must be reclassified and carried at cost less accumulated depreciation and impairment. This happens when market conditions make it difficult to determine a fair value without excessive cost or effort. In such cases, ang property are treated like regular fixed asset and under cost model. If liable ang fair value becomes available again in the future, ang property can be measured at fair value once more. This ensures na ang asset values are recorded accurately and not overstated. Section 17. PPE. Property, Plant, and Equipment. Ang PPE are tangible assets that are held for use in the production, expected to be used during more than 1 year or one period. Ang daily included sa PPE is ang mga biological asset related to agricultural activity, ang mga mineral rights and mineral reserves such as oil, natural gas, and or similar to non-generative resources. Spare parts and serving equipment. Items such as spare parts, standby equipment, and serving equipment are recognized as PPE when they meet the definition of property, plant, and equipment. Otherwise, such items are classified as inventory. So, mao na siya mga classified as property, plant, and equipment. The major spare parts, standby equipment expected to be used for more than 1 year. Spare parts and serving equipment that can be used only in conjunction with an item of PPE. Replacement of parts. Parts of some item of PPE may require replacement at regular intervals like ang atop sa building. When a part is replaced, ang cost of replacement is recognized, added to the carrying amount of an item of PPE if the replacement part is expected to provide incremental future benefits to the entity. Also, the carrying amount of a replaced part is derecognized, like deducted from the carrying amount of an item. And if it is not practicable for an entity to determine the carrying amount of the replaced part, the cost of replacement may be used as an indication of what the cost of the replaced part was at the time it was required or constructed. Land and buildings. Land and buildings are separable assets and shall be accounted for separately. This is because ang land is normally non-depreciable while ang building is depreciable. Subsequent measurement ng PPE. Subsequent to initial recognition, ang entity shall choose either the cost model or the re-evaluation model as its accounting policy and shall apply that policy to an entire class of PPE. Ang cost model, it is an asset or asset is recorded at their original cost minus accumulated depreciation and impairment losses, and carrying amount of an asset remains unchanged unless impairment occurs. Ang revaluation model naman, assets are initially recorded at cost but can be revalued to fair value at subsequent reporting dates. If the fair value increases, the re-evaluation surplus is recorded in other comprehensive income. If ang fair value naman decreases below the original cost, the loss is recognized in profit or loss.
And that's all for Chapter 11 PFRS Small and Medium-Sized Entities. Thank you.